Hi, welcome to the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I am one of today's hosts, Michael, featuring Cultured Corner guest extraordinaire, host extraordinaire.
I was
Sage.
like, why am I a guest now? I've been demoted. Jesus.
Yeah, fuck you. We only have 3 people, and now you're demoted. You're just a constant guest star.
I don't get like a top billing. It's like, you know, in like TV shows where they have like a famous person come on for one episode and they're like
featuring.
Yeah, that's me.
It's just the credits are now hosted by Michael, Cat, featuring Sage.
Yeah, guest star Sage.
But yeah, Cat's busy,
Yeah,
so
it's fine.
it is what it is.
So I have something that's been on my mind, but
boy.
I don't think it's something you probably ever like watched.
Okay.
You never watched like Girls Next Door, right? On E.
No, I don't. I think I've maybe watched a fraction of a second of something on E ever.
Okay. Well, it used to be a reality show about like Hugh Hefner's girlfriends living in the mansion.
His girlfriend specifically, not the bunnies.
Yeah, the girlfriend. So he had 3 girlfriends at that time. But 2 of the girlfriends just started a new podcast called Girls Next Level. And it's so interesting. Like, I've been nonstop listening to it. I'm obsessed with it because they're talking about like what really happened like behind the scenes and all that stuff. And then they did like prequel episodes essentially because they are going through the whole show.
Right.
But they were talking about like how they like ended up like meeting Hef and like moving in and becoming girlfriends and all that stuff at first. And it's just so bizarre. Like every like kind of negative connotation that I guess you would think about like Hugh Hefner
Right.
is essentially factual. And like
Man laid pipe, dude.
the man wasn't even laying pipe though. Like, so they were saying how like every Wednesday they went out clubbing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before the show started, he actually had 7 girlfriends who were living in the house. And apparently there was like a lot of drama amongst the girls because like at this point he was giving them like boatloads of cash for different things.
Right.
And the girls like were getting kind of greedy and like narky on each other and this, and there was a lot of rules in the house. Like you had to be home by 9 p.m. if you were like going out, and you couldn't like stay somewhere overnight if like the whole group and Hef wasn't going. But they were talking about like how every Wednesday they would go out to a club. So it'd be Hugh Hefner and then like the 7 girlfriends. And you had to like dress a certain way and do all this stuff. And he was really into blondes at this period. So all the girlfriends had to be like white platinum blonde. And they had a salon that you like could go to. And then like the mansion or like, you know, Playboy was essentially paying for your salon.
Right.
But they were saying how like one of the girlfriends was essentially like recruiting other girls to like invite out that like were interested in being in Playboy or like being a playmate or whatever, and recruit the girls so that there would be like more girlfriends, but also because when they came home from like the clubbing night, there was like what the girls called on the podcast like the bedroom ritual, which essentially was like all the girls would go into Hugh Hefner's like master bedroom, all like take a shower, and then there would just be like dildos everywhere. And then the way they described this, they were like, it was basically just like every girl had sex with him, but it was like 1 minute per girl, like down the line type thing. And I'm like, that sounds so bizarre. Because at this time, like he was probably like 70, 72. And I'm like,
So he wasn't really getting off. It's just like one girl, minute up, cool, next girl on.
yeah, it was very much like a power thing.
Right.
And apparently he kept like a book of like every girl he had had sex with, like how many times he had sex with her and all this stuff. And it was just so weird. And I'm like,
I mean, to be fair, if you're Hugh Hefner and you banged probably 50 billion girls, I feel like would you not keep a track of who you're...
I guess, but like,
I don't know.
when
I
you're-
would never
when-
be in that situation, but like...
but it's not like he was doing, like he would, I'm sure he was doing that with like one night stands, but he was doing that like with the girlfriends that lived there too.
Yeah, but how many girlfriends did he have throughout his life?
A lot. Like,
It's an accurate account of being able to say when he died how many girls he'd actually been with and how often.
But I don't think that's like public knowledge, if that makes sense. Like I
Public
think that
knowledge to some people,
I
and
think
that's
that
all that matters.
I think
I'm
that book
sure.
was like strictly for him.
I'm sure that it matters to him.
Yeah, but that seems so bizarre, especially because like once the show started, I think he was already like 75. So, and this was when they were down to just like the 3 girlfriends.
Right.
Like, I don't know that I would like have the wherewithal at 75 to be keeping track of those things.
At that, it might have been at some point, he's already been doing it for
Like
30,
a habit.
40 fucking years. It's just, yeah.
Like ingrained to him, like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess. But like, that just seems so weird to me. And like, this podcast is so interesting. And like, the 2 girls who are doing, so it was 2 of the 3 girlfriends. The 3rd girlfriend's not on the podcast. Her name is Kendra. And that's because she's kind of like a Hugh Hefner apologist. Because supposedly like nothing bad happened to her while she was there. So she like doesn't believe anybody else's claims. Which I don't know if I agree with that. Because like, if you're having 20, 40 girls come out and saying like, this was my individual experience and they're all very similar, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it just seems like a little strange to me to be.
Yeah, I can't imagine like I'm saying these as like, I don't know much about Hugh Hefner, but I know he some shit went on.
Yeah.
But like base level, right? Like it's all a power play.
Oh, for sure.
But it's still in a way impressive.
I mean, I think it's impressive to live that kind of lifestyle and maintain it.
Yeah, and have like gotten to a point of like such a like open status of just banging everybody that like it's just accepted.
Yeah.
Which is interesting at least.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, but I also am like, it's so interesting me because for a long time he was married.
Right.
To one woman. And then I don't know exactly when they divorced. I feel like it was probably in like the 90s, I think. They didn't even like get officially divorced. They just separated. So when he was having all of these like, multiple girlfriends, he was still like on paper married. And like his kids and his quote unquote ex-wife were living in a house that was like literally right next door to the Playboy Mansion. So that like he could be close to his sons or whatever. But I'm just like, if I'm the ex-wife, like, I'll be like, bro, what are you doing?
I mean, yeah. No, yeah.
Like, that would be weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess maybe that's why, like, I don't know why they, like, stopped being together, but I assume, it, like, that has to play a part in it. Where he's, like, wants to be essentially a playboy, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
he wants to be, like, going around town type deal.
Would have been wild if he was the, like, quintessential, like, playboy, like, person, never actually slept with anyone but his wife.
I feel like that would be, like, in my mind, more what you would expect, though. You know, because he's not, like, saying, like, the magazine isn't about, like, him
right,
and his
but
exploits, you know what I mean? It's just, like, beautiful women who happen to be nude and, like, gorgeous photos.
Yeah, and then that period of time where they stopped being nude and then nobody bought their fucking...
Okay, so interesting, though, because while they had, like, the pictorials and, like, the centerfolds and all that jazz, they also had, like, a lot of, like, really well-written articles.
No, it's true.
In
like,
Playboy.
It's funny because everyone always says, like, the joke of, like, I read it for the articles. But Playboy actually had insane, like, articles that, like, they would talk to, like, some of the most exclusive people.
Yeah.
Or, like, presidents and whatnot. And actually had really interesting, in-depth
like,
interviews.
Well-written, like, super good interviews, all that stuff. And what's interesting is they were, like, even in the show, they were talking about, like, kind of like the slow decline of Playboy, and a part of that was like the rise of the internet, because
who needs to read a magazine with nude
not
women?
only who needs to read a magazine, but like, why are you going to buy physical copies of like naked girls when you can find literally unlimited amounts of moving naked girls
right
for free
yeah
on the internet?
I don't need to go to the woods and hide them and find a magazine to go get off.
You don't need to be like going through your dad's closet, find like the backpack shoebox kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I just go on the internet.
Yeah. So they were talking about that, but I also think as like Hugh Hefner
cavemen porn era.
as Hugh Hefner was essentially dying, his son was taking over
Yeah, I remember
slowly,
that.
and they were trying to make this transition. They already had like some online content, but it was pretty bland from
Right.
what I know, at least. And then so like the son was trying to like make it more modern and stuff, and like kind of move like towards the digital age, where Hugh Hefner was like pretty strict about keeping it like very much like print and paper type situation.
Right.
And then when they made the move to stop doing fully nude, do they do topless or just?
Back then, I don't remember. I can look it up.
I feel like it was fully. They stopped doing fully nude, and then
yeah.
I think they didn't even do topless.
I think it was like it was straight up no longer like porn. It was just
But it was
lingerie and
never
stuff.
really porn.
Well, it was no longer
fully nude.
Yeah, I think it was like entirely lingerie entirely.
Like covered up.
I think so.
That's such an interesting change to me, though, because I feel like there are people who definitely agree with the mindset that like being very scantily clad is like almost more provocative than being fully nude.
Right.
But
The first issue of non-nude Playboy was in 2016.
and now when you're saying non-nude, you mean just
It-
the bottoms covered up?
No, it looks like no tits either.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in strip clubs, when you go to like a non-full nude strip club, they don't do the top. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I was thinking. But that's interesting that top and bottom is covered up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. It's.
But
Yeah.
then doesn't that just feel like a regular magazine? Like I feel like
It's just.
women's beauty magazines are doing more scandalous things.
Yeah. Like the pictures that they're showing for it are pretty normal.
Wait, let me see. Wow, but
Apparently,
in 2016.
apparently it was called the first issue of this was called From a Boyfriend's Perspective.
Interesting.
And it's supposed to be like selfies and stuff that you would send.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that, and then
Oh my god, and they have like the Snapchat filter. That's funny. I mean, they're cute photos, but it's nothing like crazy.
like if I was dating a girl and they sent me that, I'd be very appreciative.
Right,
But
you-
like
you're
it's
not
not
gonna-
what I'm
you're not
looking up. It's not what I'm going to Playboy for.
right, you're not gonna scoff at it if like a real person sends it to you, but I don't think you're going to purchase Playboy magazines and be like, ah, yes, their bosoms are covered up, just what I wanted.
Their bosoms are covered. Because everyone that gets Playboys has a monocle and a top hat.
And a pipe in their mouth.
Yes, today's Playboy was specific or exceptionally well.
Very tantalizing today.
Yes, very lewd.
Yes. Yes. They sip their tea with the pinky out. But yeah, no, I've just been listening to that, and it's so interesting
It seems like it came to an end within the same year.
that he took over.
I think so.
I'm not surprised by that, actually. Because I feel like also I was always obsessed with like the girlfriend's aesthetic. Like when Girls Next Door was on, I always thought they were so cute, like had such great outfits, like great makeup. I loved like at the mansion they always had like theme parties and stuff, and I always thought like the outfits were really cute, and like the spreads that they had in Playboy were really nice and like very well done kind of things. So I feel like, I don't know, it feels a little more like normal, if that makes sense now. It doesn't feel as like extravagant anymore, which is kind of sad. Like, is Playboy even like still putting out content anymore?
Yes, because I've seen there's some competition going for people to be in the next like Playboy stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So yes.
Gotcha.
Because I follow somebody who
Who like entered in it?
yeah, because they were like, oh yeah, like my mom had this long dream of being a Playboy, and then
Like a playmate?
yeah, and she couldn't achieve that goal, so my goal is to do that.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I love that.
It seems like within the year.
Yeah.
In
Do they have playmates anymore?
So February of 16, was the first issue of Non-Nude, and it seems like September of 16 they were like, all right, we're gonna go back.
Back to nude.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they went back to nude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they did.
Oh, I mean, that was the right choice because I feel like you just know they're like, I don't know if they have public stocks, but if they did, like if you know
their sales
stocks
went way down.
Yeah, you just know everything was plummeting. They were like, oh god, we gotta bust out the titties again.
Gotta bust. That was pretty much all the jokes people were making, though.
Yeah, because it's Playboy. Like, why do I want to see like PG-13 like sensitive pictures? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not what I'm here for.
Who the hell? There's been a hell of a lot of people on Playboy.
Yeah,
Like covers and
a
stuff.
lot of people have been on Playboy.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was within the year. Because I remember because everybody made the joke that they were like,
everybody was
no,
dogging
they're not gonna
on them.
fucking last. And then like within the year they were like, we're going back, and everyone was like, well, yeah, no fucking shit.
Yeah, like that's not a surprise at all. Although I don't know why, but I have this very clear memory of, I think this was after the 3 girlfriends had left the mansion, and then he had 3 more girlfriends, and 2 were twins.
Nice.
And I have this like super vivid memory of the twins doing like a tennis themed like pictorial, and they had like these really cute like tiny like you can't even belt essentially tennis skirts on, and these little tiny like white tennis shoes, and I remember it being really cute. I don't know when this would have been though, maybe like 2008 2009.
These people. Yeah.
It was cute though.
Yeah, those.
Yes, it was adorable.
Yeah, that's one way to put that. Yeah. Do you think like, because I know that like, at least for like younger guys, right? Like everyone always like, or not everybody, but a lot of people are like twins. Twins are like an achievement.
But why?
That was gonna be my question. I was gonna say, what do you think like? Do you think that like what goes on in a twin's mind if that ever happens? Like, do you think they're already like, because you already got to be into the idea, right, of playing with like your sister at that point,
right? That's what I never understood about like the whole like twins fan. Like I can understand the aesthetic of a twins fantasy, but when you put like that, if you ever try to like conceptualize it into real life, like I just can't imagine 2 literal twin siblings being like, yeah, I can be in a sexual scenario.
I mean, I've told you the story about the twins I knew.
You did.
Yeah.
But like I personally, like I can't wrap my brain around that. Like I just can't.
I don't know. I guess like if you're already in the mind, like, because there are families where like the mother and daughter do porn together.
Right.
So,
which I also think is a little like bizarre.
I have to assume somebody was already into it, or like one of the sisters and the others, like, you know, and then it like, because at some point it has to become not about
being siblings.
Yeah, it's just that you are both interested in it, and like it gives you something. It gives you your niche, I guess.
I guess that's fair. Like I'm sure there has to be some kind of like agreement.
Right.
Because
I mean, I'm sure there are some where they're like, no, this is hot for us, but like I'm sure at some point it's just like it basically a different person. Like you're doing it for the contract.
Yeah, but like that just seems so strange. Like whenever I see like what like you were saying, like the moms and daughters who are doing like OnlyFans or whatever together,
right.
I'm like, I can understand it, like girls who do OnlyFans and their moms are like their managers or something like that. I can understand that, right? Because
right.
like it's your mom, they've seen you probably naked throughout your entire life, and there's no like weirdness there,
Right.
But
I feel like there's still a slight weirdness when you're just from the difference of seeing your kid naked through their life and then seeing their kid fucking riding somebody.
No, I'm not saying in terms of like fucking. I just mean like purely in like pictures or like
right.
Something like that where it's a little less extreme
right.
than like fucking somebody in front of your mom kind of thing. But when they're doing OnlyFans together, again, this is only in terms of pictures and like doing like lingerie sets or whatever. Like that seems weird to me.
I feel
Like,
like
I can't imagine going up to my mom and being like, "Hey, mom, you know, it'd be a great
well,
idea."
right, but I feel like it's got to be very different. Like you've had to grow up in a very specific home,
Yeah, I
or
feel
like
like
your
you-
mom was already in the industry.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be something where like the whole household, or at least you and your mom, are very like sexually open, very understanding, like super open-minded kind of people, which personally I enjoy those kinds of people, but I just know I personally could never do that.
I do think, and I would find this weird. I want to preface that very
Right.
hardly. I would find this weird. But I do think it is interesting, the dichotomy between like a daughter and a mother can do that, but like a daughter and a son, or a son and a daughter and a father, or a son and a mother or something could not do that
No.
that all in the same way, which again I would find fucking weird.
Yeah.
But I think it's weird also that a mother and daughter is way less weird.
People, I think a part of why it's more,
Or like a sister and a sister could do it.
I think the reason why it's more acceptable is, one, I feel like men especially are like really into seeing like girl on girl action.
Right.
So they don't really like take those kinds of things into like a factor.
Because like I think
Or if-
brother and brother would also be kind of weird.
Yeah, I think so too.
So is it just because a girl and a girl can't penetrate themselves with themselves that it's less weird?
I couldn't tell you what it is, but I think there is some, and I think there's also like this like big taboo factor of like, I mean, if you look on Pornhub, like the number one thing for like what the past 10 years is like step siblings.
Yeah, step siblings, step parents,
Or like MILF or
Yeah.
something like that. So I think that it's so weird to me because it's so, I think, like ingrained in like our current
to
generation.
find girl with girl regardless of mom or sister way less weird.
Right. Like, I think it's just weirdly ingrained in like our generation of like consumers of like lewd things, where we're just like so desensitized to it that like we're like, yeah, whatever, we could like let it go. But if I was that actual person, I would be like, no, what the fuck? That's so weird.
Yeah, like I guess that has to be it, right? Because like brother and brother, father and son,
Weird.
son
Horrible.
and mother, son and daughter, father and daughter, anything that involves a guy in the scenario.
Yeah, once like, I think a part
Is it just because they can like just the insertion?
Maybe, but I also think if it was like a mom and daughter like double-ended dildo fucking video or something like that.
Those exist.
I know, but I'm saying like I think if it was something like that, like I think that would freak me out.
But I still think it's way less weird.
I don't know. I think if I said like
Because there's no like I don't even think it's the fact of like of introducing the fact that somebody could get pregnant or whatever. I don't even think it's that. Like it just seems like once there
it's
is a
the
dick,
idea of siblings fucking.
yeah. But
But actually being able to fuck.
right, but yet a sister and a sister siblings, it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I don't really know where I guess like the difference lies.
Yeah, because like
But
you could see
I
a
think
sister with
you're-
a sister
I
like
think-
in a strap on, and you were like, yeah, this is fine.
I think you're absolutely right that people are like way more cool with like female relationships of, like,
Regardless of relation.
yeah, and I don't know why. Like I personally I cannot get beyond it because once, even if like, you know, the ones on like Pornhub where it's like stepsister and like, or like older brother or whatever, and they obviously are not related at all.
Right.
Even then, like once I read the title, I'm like, no, I cannot like distance myself. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't like compartmentalize
Right.
enough, because once you've put those titles on, it just is like that kind of relationship turning into a very different type of relationship. I personally just cannot get
Now,
beyond
when it comes to like step siblings, is that also because I feel like there is also that less because no one's related. Well, is it the half siblings are related? Step siblings.
yeah, half
yeah.
siblings are related, step siblings
So like
are
because
not.
step siblings is also that step of like because no one's related to each other even though they
step
are.
siblings, I'm just like, no.
We've talked about it before. Like that's one of those times where like if I'm watching something or reading something that I'll just block
You
it
just
out.
turn it off.
Yeah, I just turn it off because I'm like whatever, just pictures.
Right.
Or video.
Right.
But it's like it's the taboo without the taboo.
I mean, yeah, but I also just think like, again, I can't put myself in that position where,
because like we talked about it when we talked about Domestic Girlfriend like
Right.
forever ago, where I was
Right.
like, if you were dating somebody and then somehow
and then like my mom started like married like the
Their-
guy's
yeah,
dad or whatever.
right.
No, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be like, Mom, you need to break up with him.
I was here first.
I was here first, or I'll be like, sorry, we got to break up because I'm not doing this.
I
actually feel like I would feel so weird, right? Like you're dating somebody and then like your parents get together. I'd be like, no, you can't be together because I already saw this guy's dick. Like, no, absolutely not. Any like sibling relationship, you don't
then
have
they have a kid.
You don't have genitalia. It's just like Barbie doll, Ken doll, flat, nothing is there. Like my own brother just had a baby with his wife, and I'm like, no, you didn't. They just came on your doorstep. Like, fuck you. You like that's not how it happened.
Okay, I'm not that, but like
Like I just can't picture like my siblings in that way. So if I ever had a step sibling, I know I definitely would like. It just is too weird for me. You know what I mean?
yeah, I because I know we had this conversation forever ago.
Yeah,
but it's
when
like,
we did Domestic Girlfriend.
Yeah, when I went on my big ass rant about the manga.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I feel like at that, it's weird because like it would have to be like such extenuating circumstances if we weren't already dating beforehand to get to a point of like being interested in each other.
Yeah.
Because in a way it makes sense. You're constantly around the person. You're not related to them. Like,
Right.
so like like that shit could just happen.
Right.
But like, it would be so odd. But also, it's not really because there's nothing.
Did you ever watch Gossip Girl?
No.
Okay, so in Gossip Girl, there's a guy named Dan, and then there's a girl named Serena, right?
Okay.
So Serena, she's rich, Upper East Side, whatever. Dan, he's poor. He lives in Brooklyn. Nobody cares. This is important. Trust me. So they start dating in season 1. Then they break up because things are messy, and Serena's a hot mess, and she can't get her shit together. And Dan's like an entitled asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then their parents start dating and get married because when they were in their 20s, they actually did date. And surprise, they had a kid. Surprise baby. Right? So the surprise baby shows up in like season 3. He's like 20 years old, and it's like their son. So both Serena's half brother and Dan's half brother. Right? So Serena and Dan are like, oh, I guess we can't be together. Like, this is too weird. Like, our parents are married now. But then the parents divorce. This half sibling just gets written off the show. Like, pretend he didn't happen. I'm literally not kidding. This is how it happens.
Yeah, that's what happens if you have two half parents that are married and then they divorce. You just cease to exist.
Yeah.
Everybody just ignores you. You just get thrown on the streets and you're
Into
like,
the abyss.
sorry, kid.
Survival of the fittest. But no. So, but this is what happens on the show. And then so Serena and Dan, they're like on and off, blah blah blah, drama. The end of the series is them literally getting married. And I'm like, I could not get married to somebody that I knew like was at one point my step sibling, and I shared DNA with them through another human.
No, wait, they're not related.
They're not related to each other, but
Right.
they both have a half brother.
Right. I don't know. You were dating beforehand. You'd known each other for fucking decades before.
But the parents
like,
had dated before.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like,
You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like there's enough to like separation there. Like, and you were already dating prior. It wasn't that you started dating because of this.
that's true. Like, they were dating and then they were step siblings.
Right.
So they were like, oh, I guess we can't be dating anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we're step siblings.
Did you ever watch House?
No.
Okay, so in an episode of House, it turns out like so there's this couple.
House is like a doctor show?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's this couple. They're both sick with whatever the fuck. You know, as House goes, thinks they find a cure. They're like, oh, they're getting better. Oh my God, they're getting way worse. Wait, I think I figured it out through some bullshit that I'm going to get arrested for in real life for. But I don't because I'm House. And they're better.
House.
But it turns out they're like, so they've been together. They ran away from home, whatever. Turns out like they are half siblings.
Right.
And they didn't know, and they had been together for like years. And like one of the doctors is like, but like you know, you guys didn't know this. Like, it shouldn't really change it. Like, there would be no real repercussions to this. Like, you guys love each other. And they're both like, the fuck's wrong with you? No.
Wait, but if they had a child, would the child be weird or no?
No, I think that he was saying, he was like, statistically.
Is it like being with a cousin where it's like
I think
less
it's like
likely to be
statistically
weird?
they'd most likely be fine.
Gotcha.
I believe like that was his point he was making. Like, if you guys did like have a kid, like it would be fine. Like,
Right.
and you know, whatever. And they're like, no, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, this isn't okay.
I feel like I kind of agree with like their mindset, because I think once you put, at least for me, once you put like a brother, sister,
Right.
like,
But like, if you had been
familial
together with
label on
somebody
it-
for like, because I remember there was this thing on TikTok where it was these two people that had been dating for I think like 15 years or something like that. And then they found out somehow that they might be related.
like closely or distant?
No, like siblings kind of thing. And they were like waiting for DNA tests. Like, what would you do? Like, you've been together for 15 years.
I would I think I would dematerialize. I would feel, because the whole thing, like, I think if you found out, like, if Mark suddenly was like, hey, just so you know, we're actually related, I would be like, I would have to rethink like literally all my life choices.
Like,
You know what I mean? Like,
Like,
I don't think I could handle
if
that.
you were just like, if you had been dating, married, had kids, like with somebody, it had been fucking 20 years, and then all of a sudden you find out somehow like somebody fucked up and you're actually like sister and brother
Like-
or something.
like that, I don't.
Like, what would you do?
I don't know. Like, I think,
Like, I don't think you could just throw that away.
I don't think you could either. But I also think that's such a like complicated well of emotions that like you couldn't put like an answer on it unless you're
Right.
like literally feeling it in the moment, kind of a thing.
Right.
Because I feel like it would just throw you for such a loop.
Like, you wouldn't tell anybody, right?
If you chose to stay together, probably not. There's no reason to be like, here's my husband who's also my long lost brother.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I see no reason why anybody would do that.
Like, I just like, I'm trying to think like if like imagine that like I was dating somebody, right? Or I've been married to somebody.
Right.
Turns out they're my sister. Like, how the friend group would be like,
I think we will be like, how did you not know?
well, I don't know. I guess shit happens, but like,
I guess shit does happen. But also, I think we would be like, I feel like we'd be sad for you.
just what the fuck would you do?
Yeah, like I feel like we'd be sad for you because we'd be like, that is an unfortunate hand you've been dealt.
I'm just imagining like send that in the group chat. It's just like F in chat, bro.
Throw some F's in the chat for me, guys.
Everyone's just like oof.
Oof.
Big oof.
Major L's in the chat.
Just that's it. Just like all 10 people just oof and nothing else.
Yeah,
No, anyway, moving on.
And then we never acknowledge it again.
Just like yeah, I wouldn't.
No, I think it would just be so bizarre, and like I think it would really like turn your world upside down, kind of a moment. You know what I mean?
I feel like it'd be really fucked up if like you had been married and actually had kids with the person too.
But wouldn't you know? Because like
No,
isn't-
'cause it's
aren't
not
the kids
guaranteed.
I feel like I thought it was like the kids are usually messed up.
It's not guaranteed.
Really?
It's usually the longer it goes on.
Oh, like the
Incest,
longer
it gets
the
progressive.
line.
It gets like exponential.
Gotcha.
Like you can have a sibling with your sister or brother technically, and like they have a higher chance of being fucked up,
right.
but they are technically, but they could still be fine.
Gotcha.
I'm sure it's happened in real life.
I'm sure it has. Although I do remember watching a documentary about this subject. This was like years ago, so I don't remember it super clear, but it was about siblings who found each other after being like separated at birth type deal thing. So they grew up in like completely different lives, all this stuff. And then they like met each other when they were like, you know, in their early 20s, 30s or whatever.
Yeah, when they did those experiments with twins, had them grow up in different areas.
No,
see
not
what
like
they-
that. Not like that.
Those
Like,
were kind of weird experiments too.
that shit's fucked up.
It is, but also very interesting.
Very interesting. But
Very
anyway.
fucked up.
But anyway, so it would be like non-twin siblings would meet each other after like X amount of years because they got separated at birth, or like, I don't know, the fucking family split up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then like they would find out their siblings and then like fall in love with each other and be like sexual partners. And there's like there's a word for it. There's like a whole phenomenon. I don't know what it's called though, because I watched this documentary years ago now. But I was just like, that is weird.
Right.
Like, I just Yeah, I always think that's like so interesting, like meeting somebody you're related to, like in the future kind of thing,
Right.
you know, and you've not like grown up together,
Yeah.
but you just know like this person exists somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always thought that was very interesting. It's gonna be Nick Cannon with his like 20 fucking kids.
Well, theoretically, couldn't you have siblings?
I could theoretically have siblings, but like
You don't know anything about your family.
that's true. But I also feel like the chances of me meeting them
0.
are probably 0 to none because like my name is not the same name from when I was born, so they can't look me up like based off of my Kazaki name.
Oh, because it would just be a random name assigned to you.
No. I had an actual name.
Right, but it wasn't like your family's name, right?
No, it was.
Oh, so you could find your family.
I'm sure I could, but like, I don't know that they have like Facebook in Kazakhstan like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I just figured that your name was like,
and
your mother at the very, or you know,
right.
The person that gave birth to you. I don't know if you consider her your mother. I guess, had you,
Right.
and then like gave you to an adoption agency
Right.
or an orphanage, whatever. But they didn't like. They still had like your last name was the same as theirs.
I don't know. So on my birth certificate, there's no like mother, father.
Right.
So I don't know if the last name on my birth certificate is like my bio mom's last name or my bio dad's last name.
If there's no name, I would have assumed it was something that was just assigned to you.
No, I don't know that they do that because I don't know that like
How-
here in the States, they don't just like, you're not just like John Doe.
Well, yeah,
When
but
you're
that's
born.
the America.
I know, but I'm saying
I
like,
assume that this is like I always kind of figured that like if they don't want you to know, like they just fucking left you on an orphanage step and gone.
well, I had my actual birth certificate. It's not like I was born in like a bathtub and they just
Yeah, but if
You know what I
the
mean?
parents were stricken, it would seem weird that there'd be blank for mom and dad, but then still give you the
no,
name to
it's
find
not
them.
even blank. There's just no mom and dad section
Oh.
on like the Kazaki birth certificate.
I
Like
don't know,
here in
it just
here
seems
in the United
odd.
States, you have like mother's like full maiden name,
Right.
blah blah blah,
It just,
father,
I
blah
guess
blah blah.
it just seems odd to me that like if it's not even there, that they would still give you the name of one of them to find.
I just think that's like a pretty at this point human thing.
I don't know. Like I would imagine if you're giving up your kid that young, you wouldn't want them to find you.
I guess.
So
but
I feel like you wouldn't want them to have your name.
I guess that's fair, but like most adoptees, you get your name changed anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, I don't know. It just seems odd to me that like, you know, fucking if your name was John Doe,
Right.
like that, or Jane Doe, like that, and say that wasn't a fucking, you know, everyone had the last name.
Right.
Like it just seems odd to me that like your mom, fucking Janet Doe, was like, I don't think I can take care of this kid, whatever the reason was, and they're like, I need to give this
Maybe
kid up
they
to
do,
adoption.
like-
That they'd be like, here's this child, their last name is still Doe, but don't let her find me.
I guess, but like I personally I can't tell you like
No, I
what
know.
the whole thing is. I just can't imagine that because I don't think I don't know anywhere in the world, like look that up if they give kids like if they have like a base list of names to give children that like don't
I
get
feel like
named.
I feel like I have zero doubt that that's absolutely a thing.
I feel like I've literally never heard of that. Or maybe like the hospital staff would name you, you know what I mean? And then you would just get like a generic last name. I'm not sure. That's an interesting question though. But yeah, I feel like yes, I very much could have like siblings floating around that may or may not still be in Kazakhstan or like went elsewhere, you know?
Right.
But that's not something that I don't think I would like ever figure out.
Let's see.
Although a girl who was adopted from Kazakhstan, I think like a year or two after me.
Do orphanages still exist? Yeah, of course they fucking still exist. What kind of Google? That was the first thing that popped up was and it was like orphanages still exist.
No, they just instead of
They
orphanages.
just kill the kids.
Yeah, instead of orphanages, whenever parents don't want the kids, instead of giving them up for adoption, they just get killed right there in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then they don't make a birth certificate or death certificate. Could you fucking imagine? But yeah, so a girl who was adopted like a year or two after me from Kazakhstan did the, what do you call it? Like 23andMe or like,
I mean, it says if the child was abandoned, they'll usually give the child a random name of like something that's pretty common.
like the hospital will or whoever finds them?
It says a judge, like, because you usually have to report a child that's abandoned.
Oh, gotcha.
So it has to go through some channel.
Gotcha.
So somebody somewhere
Okay.
will just give them a name that, so like, they'd probably be like, this is going to be Smith
Right.
or fucking, John or Washington or whatever.
Right. Some like common last name.
Yeah.
Well, I know I was definitely born in a hospital. So like usually that's when the naming happens. Although apparently, did you know you don't have to name your baby right when they're born?
Apparently, some people say they weren't even given a last name. They only had the first.
Really?
Yeah.
So like how do you obtain a last name?
When you were adopted.
Oh, I guess that makes sense then.
This person says they weren't given one. I only had my first name, and the passport from the country just had the one name. And then when they came to America, they were given a different first name and then the last name when they were adopted.
Got like the parent's last name.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I guess that makes sense if like they don't give you one.
Mm-hmm.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so she found like a cousin here in the States. The girl who was also adopted from Kazakhstan.
Right.
And she was actually, so she like met up with the cousin because she was living in Brooklyn, which I think is like, what a small world.
Right.
We live right here in New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she found the girl in Brooklyn, and then through the girl, they like confirmed that they were actually related, and she was going back to Kazakhstan, and she like was able to like have the woman who worked at our orphanage who also moved here
Right.
translate for her, because she doesn't speak Russian or Kazakh anymore like me, but the woman who worked at our orphanage does still speak it, so she was able to like translate conversations with the cousin, and then the cousin went back to Kazakhstan and she was able to like FaceTime her mom, her like bio mom, which is like,
I feel like
that's so insane to me. Like
I feel like I
technology,
don't know if I'd want that.
I don't know.
Like
She
if I
said-
gave up my child.
she said it was it was an incredible experience.
Well, no, let me rephrase. As the kid, I would
Oh.
want to know.
Gotcha.
As the parent,
Right.
I don't think I would.
Well, so in
Because I feel like if you're giving up that kid so early, you don't want to see them again.
Well, in Kazakhstan, when I was born, if you were unmarried, you couldn't keep your child. So even if you like,
If you weren't married?
right,
Okay.
but that's at least when I was born. I'm I don't know if the rules have changed by
Mm.
now. What?
Nothing. I'm not going to say that.
But yeah. So when I was born, at
I'll
least
say it later up there.
when I was born, at least, if you were unmarried, you couldn't keep your child. So if you were pregnant and like a single woman, you couldn't be a single mom. So even if you wanted to keep the kid, it's just you give birth and then they take it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like
So then I feel like they wouldn't give the mom last name.
no,
If they're just going to take it? No, I feel like they would just random name you.
yeah, but they just take it off of law, not because they want to take it.
Right. But I feel like they wouldn't.
They will give it like a John Doe kind of
Yeah.
name.
Also, this is what I thought of
Oh God.
when you said it.
Oh God. But yeah, so she said it was like crazy. But my whole thing is I'm like, that's like, it's so weird to me that she was able to like FaceTime her bio mom from Kazakhstan
Mm-hmm.
and have a conversation with her. And because I'm pretty sure she was with the woman who worked at our orphanage when we were there, she was like able to like live translate for them and everything.
Yeah, because you
It's-
don't know any Kazaki, right?
No. I mean, there's no reason for me to because nobody else, like,
Right.
when I was a kid could speak
And I think I've asked you this before, but you have no interest, right?
in learning.
Or no, in finding whoever the fuck you're related
Oh,
to.
like my bio
Yeah.
parents? I don't think so. Like, I think if I did, it would just be such an arduous task, essentially. And, like, for me, my adopted parents are my parents.
Right.
Like, there's no, like, I guess kind of like disconnect from me, if that makes sense. Like those are my parents.
Yeah, I know. My cousin has said that she had interest. She's adopted from China,
Right.
and first of all, that must be a pain to try to find.
I was
anybody
gonna say, I
to
feel
be
like
a
that
Chinese
must be
adoption
so
agency.
much harder. At least Kazakhstan, like it's a big country, but at least when I was born, there was not that many people around. You know what I mean?
Right.
In China, that's literally not even needle in a haystack. You're looking for like microscopic speck.
Yeah, you're
In a
looking for
haystack.
metal shavings in the world's largest haystack.
Yeah, like I feel like that would be so much harder, especially because in places like China or Korea, where like in Korea, do you know how many fucking people have the last name Kim?
Yeah, or Lee.
It's like it's essentially the Smith.
Yeah.
Except here, like I feel like Smith is kind of played out.
Yeah, but there's still billions of them.
Yeah, but like imagine you're like, oh, my name is like Lee Kim.
Yeah.
Good fucking luck. You know how many goddamn Kims are around?
Right. Exactly. So like I feel like you'd probably have an easier time.
I
But
think
that also
I would also have an easier time.
But that does assume that the last name you had is the one you're related to.
That's also true. It's assuming that it's not like a Smith version
Yeah. Because
of a name.
Do you know what your last name was?
Abdrakhmanova.
Let's find out if that was a common name or not. I'm not gonna be able to spell that.
I can't remember if I know how to spell that. I'd have to look at my actual birth certificate to tell you. It's like 15 letters long.
We'll figure it out.
It's a really long. I think actually my Kazaki name
Rad
is.
name though.
Thank you. I think
Abdrakhmanova. That's pretty cool.
Abdrak.
Abdrak.
Ab.
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 Abdrak.
Drak.
I can't roll my R's.
Oh well, you gotta roll the R. For
Okay,
me,
well I
right?
can't.
Manova.
Manova. Yeah, that's a pretty fucking cool name.
Yeah, so that's on my birth
Way
certificate.
cooler than your name. We're gonna have to block that out.
Sorry.
Yeah, way cooler than the name you have currently.
Really, I feel like I like my name currently, but also what's funny is I think my Kazaki birth certificate and my like U.S. government name, I think the Kazaki one is actually even longer.
Well,
Actually,
you
no,
have the same first name, right?
No, it's a little different.
Oh no, I did know that.
Yeah, it's a little different and it's spelt differently as well because like the alphabets are obviously not the same.
Right.
So
Is Kazakhstan also symboled language,
I actually don't know.
or is there like actually an alphabet?
I actually don't know the answer to that. I never looked that up because I don't think I could read Kazakh when I was a kid because I got adopted at 5.
Right.
I
I would think you would know how to speak and read by 5. No.
No, I could speak it, but I don't know that I could like.
And you just lost it over time.
Oh, I lost it basically instantly.
Oh.
I came to the States when I was officially adopted.
There
when
are 3 alphabets.
Oh.
Cyrillic.
Yeah, that's
Latin,
the Russian alphabet.
And Latin and Arabic.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
Cyrillic script is used in Kazakhstan and Mongolia. And then apparently in 2017, the president decreed that Kazakh should transition from Cyrillic to Latin script by 2025.
Interesting.
Fuck that. Learn a whole new alphabet. Like, that's like trying to make force everyone to learn the metric system in America before.
Well, I feel like it will probably be like a gradual change.
Any of that shit jog a memory.
Okay, I definitely don't remember us having an Arabic type.
Right.
Because I know on my birth certificate and my like Kazakh legal papers, it's what do you call it? The like Russian.
The Russian Cyrillic.
Yes.
Or however you say it.
Yeah. I know it's the Russian alphabet that's used.
Right.
But it could also be because I know like when I was adopted, the USSR had only collapsed. Like we had only been out of the USSR for like a pretty short amount of time. So there's still a lot of like Russian influence in Kazakhstan.
Right.
So that could be why. And maybe they're like switching over now to like further distance themselves from it. Because there's a lot of There's a lot of political drama with like Kazakhstan and Russia, where like a lot of Kazakh people feel like
When isn't there political
I know,
drama
but
with
like
Russia?
there are people who feel like Kazakh politics are like too in bed with Russia and like too reliant on them, and they want like to like further their like independence from them and all this stuff, and it's like tons of drama. And there was actually I don't know if you saw this on the news. I think it was earlier this year where there was this like huge protests in Kazakhstan about oil and gas.
Mm-hmm.
And Kazakhstan was like shutting off like all major like media communications and all this stuff. And the woman who worked at our orphanage, her family was like trying to contact her to like tell her what was going on, but they like couldn't reach her because she's obviously here in the United States. But they were like shutting off like the internet and all this stuff, and it was like going crazy. And people in Kazakhstan were like, you can't fucking do that, excuse you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there was this like whole big spat about it. I think it was like maybe like a week or two long, where they were like not allowing like external media into the country, kind of like North Korea,
Right.
but like less extreme because it's not forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Politics.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, especially geopolitical politics.
Yeah, and it's so strange because in Kazakhstan, like, I remember, I think, can you look this up when the new capital became a thing? Because I remember they were trying to essentially market it like a new Dubai. Because you remember when Dubai was like,
We had
we're
looked
the
this up because
future.
you told me about this.
I did?
Yeah.
I didn't remember if I told you
Because they
about
moved
that.
it from like one end to the other, right?
Yeah.
To like be further from Russia or closer to Russia.
I think they moved it, what's it, Astana or Almaty
I'll look it
is
up
the
in a
new
sec.
capital. I can never remember. I'm not very good with my Kazaki geography.
Astana.
Is the new,
Yeah.
and that's more central Kazakhstan.
Pretty picture.
Uh,
I'm pulling up a map.
I feel like it might be more central, and Almaty is more south.
It's
It's.
I would say it's northern.
Let me see. Yeah, it's more north. So, if I remember correctly, Almaty is more south, but not like heading towards the Middle East, like a little further than that.
Could be. I don't know. The most of this is not.
Not coming up. I feel like if you zoomed into Kazakhstan, it would be like, here's a city, and then just literally nothing else.
It's like
It's very underdeveloped land.
Almaty.
It might have a different name.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Wait, let me look at a map.
Oh no. Okay. I found it.
Oh, you found it?
Bro, that's way south. It's next to fucking I don't even know what that fucking
Let me
country's
see.
name is. It's way south. They moved the capital way north.
Let me see.
It's down here by this other state. So they moved it way north.
Oh yeah, way north. Yeah, it's right next to Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah. Used to be. Well, it
used
still
to be,
is.
yeah.
The capital used to be down there.
Well, yeah.
Then they
didn't,
moved it
like,
way north.
Fucking blow up
yeah.
Almaty.
But they moved it way north.
Yeah, for some reason I remember it being closer to Uzbekistan. I don't know why. I always thought it was closer, more on like the west side, but I guess I was not even close to correct.
Bro, where are Kazakhstans at?
What?
Where
Where are the stands for Kazakhstan?
Where are our Kazakh listeners?
Yeah,
You know?
seriously. I feel like
We have representation.
I don't know that a lot of like people who live in Kazakhstan speak English though.
Bro, they're big vaguely anime fans over there. You know, like Borat, like we're the non stereotypical thing they like. You know?
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
There's Borat and vaguely anime.
Yeah, that's the only Kazaki representation
Yeah.
that they got going on.
You know, and we have a statue.
We do. We have a statue
Yeah, of course.
of what? Kazakhstan.
No, it's just a big VA logo
Oh, gotcha.
in the capital.
In Kazakhstan.
Yeah, in the capital.
Oh, in Astana. I love it.
Yeah.
Could you fucking imagine?
No, a random town somewhere is like, we have a VA logo.
We're like, we got you.
It's of the girl.
No, it's actually
It's our logo.
It's
our
not
mascot.
even a town. It's people who still live in yurts. they got Wi-Fi in their yurts now.
It's like they have like straw dolls of our
As
of our
figurines.
mascot. Yeah.
I feel like actually very few people still live in yurts now.
I have no fucking idea.
No,
I'm sure people
I'm-
still do.
No, people still do, but like the number over the year has like greatly decreased. But also, there's a lot more like actual infrastructure nowadays.
Right.
And there's very little reason to be like nomadic.
Right.
Essentially, like there are people who still do it, obviously, but it's a much smaller number now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I always thought that was so interesting. I'm like, I want to see a yurt. I want to see a real life yurt. That would be cool.
I'm pretty sure I have, and it's just it just exists.
You have seen one?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I feel like I've never seen one before. Is it like a tent but less tenty?
If anything, it's more tenty.
More tenty?
Because yurts are pretty big.
No. I mean tent like, you know, like Native American kind of like
Oh,
triangle tent.
I
don't know what you call those.
fuck.
I used to know what they're called.
I sure also used to know what
but
they
I
were
don't
called.
remember. I actually remember when I used to go to day camp, we had one made because there was a guy who like worked at our day camp who was Native American, and he like handcrafted one. It was really cool.
Fuck, what the hell were they called?
Look it up.
I wanted to know what it was. I didn't even have to look
You
it
didn't
up.
want to look it up. I believe in you.
Fucking damn it! What the fuck were they called?
What, is
God, I had to look it up. TPs.
teepee? Thank you. I was like, why can't I remember what these damn things are
I
called?
was so annoyed. I was like, I should know what the fuck that was called.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a. Why didn't I know what that was called? That's such a like common word.
You weren't. You're not from here.
I guess that's true, but like we have essentially teepees
Yeah.
in Kazakhstan,
Yeah.
but I don't know how like common like thing it was to bring up teepees.
Well, you know,
'Cause,
growing
like,
up in America, you get
we
those
were-
really
we-
bad history lessons as a kid.
But we were in like a city. We weren't like in a village
Oh,
type
you
deal.
weren't in the sticks?
No, we were not in the sticks. We were in a city.
Hmm.
So I don't think there was a lot of like cultural conversations going on with a bunch of like infants and 5-year-olds, because I don't know how useful that would be for the people giving the lesson. You know what I mean?
Right.
Although I do remember we had these Russian bootleg cartoons, like, you know, Roadrunner.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know why I have a very clear memory of this, but we had a bootleg version of Roadrunner that was Russian.
Okay.
And it was essentially like, imagine the same concept as Roadrunner, but like looked a lot worse. And the bird, like, I think it was like a different colored bird, and the wolf was like, oh, it was a wolf and not a coyote. Is that it?
Yeah. The original is a coyote. Wile E.
Right,
Coyote.
Yeah,
And-
so our one, it was not a coyote. It was like a wolf.
Okay. Sure.
I don't know why. I have a very clear memory of that. And it was like bootleg version of Roadrunner. And it was very funny to me.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even have anything to relate to this. I was here.
Yeah.
The whole time.
We had, you know how when you went to elementary school and
Mark's actually half Kazaki, and he's your brother.
barf. When you went to elementary school and like you'd have like the movie days and they'd have like the TV, the box TV on like the cart.
Right.
Okay, so we had one of those.
Uh-huh.
We had a box
Dude,
TV.
I don't remember what the fuck I was doing at 5. I don't know how you remember any of this.
I don't know how I remember any of this either, but like there's just certain things about it that like are very like deep ingrained in my brain where I'll like never forget it. But yeah, so we used to have a wheelie carted TV,
Right.
and I don't know how often we were allowed to like, but we didn't have like cable, if that makes sense, like where you could like flip through channels.
Right.
So we had VHS tapes, because the TV, it was a VHS tape VHS player and TV in one.
Right.
Remember the ones where it was like together and you didn't
Yeah.
have like the separate box for
Mhm.
it? So it was one of those together. And I think we had maybe 10 VHS tapes.
Okay.
So just those on repeat. But like to a bunch of like freshly born to 4-year-old kids.
Right.
That's fine. Because 4 was the max age.
Right.
Except I was 5. Because the adoption process started when I was 4. But then 9/11 happened. So it got super delayed. So I had to wait till I was 5.
So what you're telling me is you had a hand in 9/11.
Actually, yeah, I left 3 weeks before 9/11, and I was like, here are the deeds. I'm going back to Kazakhstan. You let me know when it's done.
And they were like, got it.
When I was 4.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember one time, I think I was like 9 or 10.
Amazing. You were on a plane when planes didn't suck.
Yeah. And oh my God, another thing I remember. I don't know if this is when I was officially adopted or when I was visiting for the first time, because I came here the summer of 2001. I think I was here for like 6 weeks. So imagine like a summer break, right? So I was here in the summer of 2001. And it was essentially like a trial period to make sure like I got along with like the new family and they like me and all that jazz, right? And on the plane ride, I don't remember if it was when I was visiting or when I was officially adopted, but on the plane ride there, it was one of the planes that had the like in-flight movies. And on the plane ride to the United States, I just know it was there, not going back. To the United States, they had Pocahontas in Russian on. And I literally, from that day, was like obsessed with Pocahontas. When I came to the States officially, my parents had it on VHS. And you remember those like nice thick boxes they used to have? And they had that for me. And the nice thick box, I literally watched that tape to fucking death. Like, I just remember watching it for the first time on the plane. And I was like, this is magical.
Incredible.
And then my like love for Disney never left.
I guess fair enough.
Yeah, it was.
What a movie for it to be the one, though.
I know, it's so funny because Pocahontas is like actively really terrible.
Sure is.
The songs do slap though. I do like the songs. Like Colors of the Wind and Just Around the Riverbend are really good. You can't blame me.
I don't think I've seen Pocahontas since I was like fucking 2.
That's fine.
So.
But when you're like 4 years old,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and also it was, I don't think I was aware of it in this way, but like, I remember when I came here and I could already speak English, I never saw myself as like different. And you know how like people always talk about like representation and all that stuff nowadays? I don't remember ever a time being like, I don't look like the girls on the screen. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I always knew that I never thought I actually looked like Mulan, which people always think I'm Chinese. But I never felt like I looked like Mulan.
Right.
But I always felt like I looked like Pocahontas.
Okay.
I don't know if that's weird. I guess because it was also the summertime, so I was very tan at the time as
Right.
well. And like Pocahontas is obviously tan.
Right.
Like I always thought like I looked like Pocahontas, but I never thought I looked like Mulan. But that's
Fair
because
enough, I
I'm
guess.
not like very light skinned,
Right.
but also like that's a whole like
Another thing.
Asian cultural
Yeah.
beauty standard type deal thing.
Right.
Which I think is interesting that Disney did that. Like I don't know that they did that intentionally,
Probably not.
but I do think that's interesting.
Yeah.
That they chose to not make Mulan tan.
Right.
And even in the live action movie, she's not that tan.
Oh.
She's not like
I forgot that like existed.
yeah, which the live action movie is actively bad. You know what? People were saying that it was obviously not good, but it actually tells the story worse than the animated one.
Right.
Like the theme is told worse in the live action movie than in the animated one with like the songs and the kitschiness and all that jazz.
Right.
But yeah, I'm like, well, how do you fumble that hard? You're making like a multi-million-dollar movie and you can't even get the theme right.
That movie sucked.
It was not good.
I had literally zero desire to see it.
I would just like to say the only good live action movie that Disney has done in the past 10 years as like a remake movie is Cinderella, the 2015 one.
Didn't even see it.
That's fine.
I did see the one with Selena Gomez where she was a skater.
Princess Protection Program?
No, I thought it was. Well, it wasn't a Cinderella. It was like one
Oh,
of those
another Cinderella story
Sure. I don't
with
know.
Selena Gomez, and she's like a dancer.
Is she a dancer? I thought she was a skater.
No, she is a skater, but she's also a dancer.
Oh.
And the guy she's in love with, the quote unquote prince, is a pop star, and he comes back to his hometown, and he's hosting a contest to like do
Sure.
something.
I don't remember anything about this movie except that it had Selena Gomez and she was a skater.
The
'Cause
one-
I had the biggest crush on Selena Gomez forever.
Me too. But the one thing that I always thought was very funny about that movie is there's
She was the only reason I watched Places Lately, please.
oh, that show was so good though.
It was.
But there's one scene that I think is very funny. So the guy who was like the prince, Selena Gomez in this movie, IRL was like maybe 16 years old, and her love interest I think was like 28 in real life. And he was meant to be the same age as her, like or maybe like a year older. Maybe he's like a senior in high school, and she was like a sophomore in high school or something. I don't know exactly how they positioned it, but anyway, the reason why I bring this up is there's a scene in the movie where it's like home video footage of Selena Gomez as like a 10-year-old or maybe 11-year-old or whatever. And it's her being like, oh, I love this pop star. Like, I'm going to marry him kind of thing. And it's like her holding a magazine. And it's the guy on the magazine. He still looks 28 on the cover of the magazine. And the like younger version of Selena Gomez looks 12. And I was like, how did you guys not see that was a problem?
He was born. Ooh, he is 10 years older than her.
Okay, so he was
82 and 92.
So he was 26 and she was 16 when they filmed that movie.
Gross.
Yeah, I always thought that was very strange. I'm like, you couldn't at least get like an 18-year-old so they're at least a legal adult.
Yeah. Except that's very common in Hollywood.
I know, but like it's so
Like,
bizarre.
but like Selena Gomez as Alex Russo is like fundamentally the reason I like what I like.
I can't even blame you. I feel like Selena Gomez as Alex Russo, I was like
like you know how everyone's like, like the Hex Girls and Raven and
Yeah.
like where they're like, and to be fair, same.
Yeah.
But like in terms of like personality,
yeah.
Alex Russo was like the one that set in what I'm like, yes,
I
this
feel
is
like
who I want.
I wanted to wear everything she had on that show, even though looking back, it's all horrible.
It's so early 2000s.
It's so dated and awful. But I remember when like that was on TV, I was like, this is the most stylish person I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Do you remember Selena Gomez in The Scene? It was her like Disney band essentially.
Yes.
Okay, so when they first came out, I think she was still like maybe 15 or 16. And they styled her still pretty dated. But I remember in their first video, I was like, oh, this is because they were trying to do this like cool, edgy thing. And I feel like Selena Gomez is not very edgy.
Right.
But I was like, that's what I want to look like.
She did do edgy music for a
Yeah.
minute.
But it was
I
like,
used to listen to her
it was,
music a
like,
lot.
Very, very like just like dip your
Edgy,
toe
yeah.
in the pool.
It was edgy, but not. It was
Yeah.
It was edgy, but really it was just edgy.
Yeah, and then I remember when like Demi Lovato came out with her first album, and everyone was like, "She's so dark, oh my god!"
And then she got kicked off Disney.
Did she get kicked off?
Well, yeah, remember the whole like stealing and drug abuse and stuff.
Oh, I thought she left Disney. I didn't know she got kicked off Disney.
I don't remember exactly what happened. I thought she got kicked off because of what was going on.
I mean, it's very possible, but I
don't know. I know
remember.
she had to come back, and I know people are big fans of her, so I'm not going to speak ill of her because I don't know the whole situation. I thought that she was kicked off.
Gotcha.
If I'm wrong, I apologize.
Have
Like
you
I
seen-
said, don't really know. I just thought that was what happened.
Have you seen the video of her like singing to ghosts? I think I've brought this up before, but it's the
Oh,
funniest
I
thing in the
fucking
world.
forgot she has a ghost hunting show. All right, with
It's
that on that
so
note, we're gonna
funny.
fucking end this goddamn episode.
Sorry.
I wanna fuck ghost hunting. Okay, look, until I am definitively proven that ghosts exist, ghosts aren't real, and ghost hunting shows are there for comedy. Nobody on a ghost hunting show. Most people on ghost hunting shows do not believe that ghosts are real, and because they absolutely are doing things to make things look like they exist.
Right.
Like, if ghosts existed, we'd probably have a fuck ton of proof by now.
Yeah, we'd be like Ghostbusters up in this.
The
bitch.
amount of fucking people that have died on this goddamn planet from
but
its
not
existence.
everybody becomes a ghost.
statistically, with the amount of people we've died
Okay,
that have
that's also
died,
true.
there would have to be ghosts fucking everywhere.
That's true.
Even if not everybody, even if it was like 2%,
Right.
there'd still have to be a fuck ton of ghosts.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I just look, if you're a ghost and you exist, come to my house.
Put it in
I'm
the
gonna
comments.
make a fuck ton of money
If
off
you're
you.
a
Come here,
ghost-
fuck with my life, so that way I can make money off
If you're
of
a
you.
ghost, can you put it in the comments that you're a ghost so we know you exist, please?
Yeah, please do. Anyway, on that note, hey, you have 1 week to watch Jujutsu Kaisen, the show and movie. You don't have to necessarily watch
I was
the
going
movie.
to say, the movie is not required. We're just going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about that at the end of the episode. And maybe just some general thought about the movie at the beginning. But we're going to leave it basically to a general thought at the intro like we always do, and then we're going to leave the actual spoiler to the very end. So you don't actually have to watch it if you don't have the time.
Yeah.
But at least the show. With that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, like, follow. Don't forget to check out Kat at Kat the Moonstar on Twitch, and we will see you guys next week for Vaguely Anime Club.
Woohoo!
See ya.
Bye-bye.